So it's going to be, for 40 minutes presentation for probably, right? And I'm going to take you through the leadership anti-patterns. And this is one of my favorite topics. And my anti-pattern itself is a favorite topic for me, because there are enough anti-patterns that we have in inner transformation. And one of the key anti-patterns that I see is actually a leadership anti-pattern, right? So I'm going to take you through that. So this is my quick profile that we kind of introduce about myself. I'm a safe consultant with 23 years of experience. I've gone through different stages in my career. Like I was a developer, I was a tester, I was a managing engineering teams. I became a leader for large programs, and then moved as a coach, facilitator, entrepreneur. And the last 5 years I've been running a business, spoken in multiple conferences, and continuous learner. There's always you learn. The new learning is Corona. How do you manage? How do you coach teams? How do you transform organizations when you are in the midst of Corona, situation, right? So there's a lot of learning. So yeah, so I've done enough of the multiple. Many large safe programs in the past, and many enterprise agile transformations. I was lucky enough to work with many of these big organizations, and so I'm going to share in this session. I'm going to share my experience, in dealing with leaders, right? I may not call out exactly where I have seen, but I will. I'm going to pick some of the cases, some case studies that or leadership and patterns that I have seen, so that it may be helpful for you, right? And yeah, I'm personal side. I'm happily married, with two kids. We have, I'm father of two kids, naughty kids. So I live in Bangalore. Till Corona, I was traveling a lot. Now it gives me some break. Staying at home and doing consulting from home. Okay, so I'm going to ask you this question: what are the 2 or 3 reasons for adopting Agile? What do you think are the 2 or 3 reasons for you to adopt Agile? Right? Can you quickly just type in the chat window? So let's have a look at it. Okay, good, Dheeraj. So good to see a lot of the old friends being part of this, right? So, okay, I'll increment, deliver value to customer, adopting change culture, customer gets to know the value. Okay. Exactly, right? Good. So faster time to market, being predictable, being fast, fail safe, bring agility in terms of business agility, right? Agility also can be different. So it's great to see that, quality, right? Predictability, quality, faster time to market, all these are critical reasons. And there is no option of saying no to agility today, right? We have to be agile, right? Because today we are discovering product. We're not creating new products. We're discovering products. As we move on, we discover product. What is the new feature that we need? What the customer thinks, it's so dynamic. Um, it is only this generation, like as per my some analysis that I've done, it's only this generation in the last 1,000 years that we go through so much of changes, right? If you take the last previous generations, like our parents, or our great our grandfathers, great grandfathers, they've not gone through the kind of dynamism that we are going through now, right? It's too much of a change, right? Like I'm sure many of you local in India, you will remember, or were born and brought up here, you will remember STD booths. Yeah, you will remember photocopy shops, like we call it Xerox shops. Yeah, we remember all of these, right? STD booths, ISD booths, right? And we remember radio. Do you remember radio? Right, 20 years back. It's not too far, like 15, 20 years back, right? Uh, a lot of things that that existed like 15 years back that doesn't exist today, and a lot of things that did not exist in the past, like 10 years back, right? This is one device that we didn't have it like 10, 15 years back, and now we can't live without this, right? There are many, like a tab, like technologies that has come up. So black and white TV, Dheeraj. Yeah, So, right, and then we turn it on, right? There's so much of change happening. So there is no option of saying, right, there's no option of saying that, hey, we don't want to be agile. Right? We have to be agile, right? Softwares are getting released on a daily basis, or thousands of times on a daily basis. Google is releasing like 30 or 40,000 times, almost 39,000 times a day, right? Amazon is releasing like 150,000 times a day, probably more than that, as per their last report, it is saying that, yeah. So faster time to market, very, very important, right? We cannot say, like, we don't want to be, agile, yeah. Now, let me ask you another question. Who owns the result of a transformation? Like, assume that we are going through a transformation, and this may be positive success, or this may be a failure, or this may be, most of the time it is kind of in the middle. We got some results, but we are not sure whether it is right or wrong, or we didn't get actually what we wanted, but we some changes happen. Who owns the result of the transformation? Can you just quickly type? Let's see, right? Who owns the result of the transformation? What is your views on, like, who finally owns the result of the transformation? There are multiple stakeholders, I'll say, right? There's a stakeholder like me who's a consultant who's coming there, right? And then, okay, customers own the transformation, the whole team. Yeah. Yes, Maksham, you nailed it right. Yeah. See, customers expect us to be agile, right? They don't. In my personal view, it is neither leadership. It is neither a team nor customer nor stakeholders. But finally, the leaders own the transformation. Yeah. Great. I think I see a couple of people saying that they're leaders. Yeah. So leaders own the transformation, right? The transformation has to be, um, team. In my view, team is like a child at home, right? Leaders are the parents, right? Now, how do we say that, if something is not going well within the family, is who's even if it is because of the kid, I would say it is not the kid who's responsible for it. Is because of the, maybe in my presence as a parent, if this is happening, who is responsible, right? So transformation should always be owned by a leader of the organization, right? It should be owned, and this is where the challenge that we have, right? Most of the times we are not sure whether who should own the transformation, yeah. And even the leaders are not clear. In many consulting assignments, I see that people are not sure, like, they think, hey, you are here, and so you own the transformation, right? As a consultant, right? I tell them, hey, I'm like a doctor, I give you medicine, right? You should know, you should be responsible to take the medicine, and if you don't take the medicine, I'm not responsible for your health issues, right? And so it should always be a leader of the organization, leader of the group, leader of the team, right? A leader of the segment or leader of the business unit owns a transformation, depending on at what level the transformation happens, right? So leadership varies from topmost leader all the way to the product owner and scrum master, right? They're also leaders of the servant leader, and they are the leaders of the team, right? So now let us now look at what are the key anti-patterns that you have seen in a leadership, in a leadership agility, right? The top two or three that you have seen in a leadership agility. Hey, am I not audible? Makshum says I'm not audible. Am I not audible? Okay, cool. You're audible. Okay, cool. So Makshum, looks like you have some problem in your no, audio. Cool. Okay. Excellent. So, what are the top two, three reasons that you see, like, or anti patterns that you have seen in the leadership? Success is mine, failure is yours. Very good. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, everybody wants to celebrate when it is good. Otherwise, hey, it is. Yeah, exceptions are very high. Okay. Okay. So in leadership, they want agile. They don't want ceremonies. Okay. Think of loading team with work instead of delivering value. Excellent, right? There's another thing. Leaders are not able to understand agile principles, right? Leaders are not flexible, no freedom, right, to the teams. Yeah, I think so. Leaders, there are many anti patterns that I have seen, or some behavioral patterns that I have seen with the leaders. So what I have done is I have categorized the leaders in few buckets. Yeah, so I call it as like few personas of leadership. Like let us look at who are those different personas in the leadership group. There are leaders I have seen who are really good, right? Who have stood on on the entire journey and then made it happen, right? There are exceptional leaders who are able to do it, and those transformation journeys are like excellent, right? You feel so thrilled about it. But there are also leaders, maybe most of them, in one of these persona, right? So I'm going to take you through these leaders, and then I call it as like Mr. Clean, right? Mr. Perfect, Mr. I know it all, right? And Mr. Detail, right? Mr. Process, and finally there is a persona called Mr. Watermelon, right? So I'm going to take each of these persona and let us see. Maybe you have observed some of these leaders in your organization, yeah, and let us see how does it, what does each of these mean, yeah. So leadership anti-patterns as Mr. Clean, right? This is what I see as a Mr. Clean a leader, right? There are a bunch of leaders who are Mr. Clean. They are they are seasoned people managers for many years. They probably stayed in the same company for years, like long time, and that kind of made them numb. Sometimes I'm going to use a little straight term jargons or the words that that's because it's important to understand, and they become numb. I've seen many leaders that or at least few leaders, they've been in the company for a very long time, 15 years, 20 years, they become numb at some point, right? And they just survive, right, in the same company, right? And they've lost confidence, or to move out and figure out a new job, or let me just retire here, right? And they've not dirtied their hands for a long time, right? And limited knowledge in terms of product, in terms of work, in terms of technology. Take anything, they have limited knowledge, and they are truly like a people manager kind of a people, right? They're not really the people who can help the team when they are stuck, right? And so because of that, they don't get involved with the teams, right? And they're more of managing than leading the team, right? There's a big difference between managing and leading, right? So and don't take me that they're only managers. There are various levels. Even the senior most leaders, I've seen that they are sometimes they're stuck like that, right? And they're too tactical, right? They're not strategic, because they will just want to run day-to-day operations and holds appraisal of the team, and that means they hold control of the team, right? And they're more waterfall behavior and command and control. So this is one type, like Mr. Clean. Like I don't want to dirty myself, I will stay away, right? I will give my gyans and move on, right? And I will ask for status and things like that, right? What happens to teams which are working with that kind of a leader, right? These are all the behavior of the teams, right? So first behavior is no respect from the team for the leader, right? Team doesn't really respect, right? Team works with that person but really doesn't respect the leader. And there's no confidence even for the team also, because leader doesn't lead by example, right? I'm just surviving, so the team also gets into that survival mode, right? Because now what gets measured gets done. When the team gets measured as like you complete your job, what is assigned, and that's how the team is also over a period. That culture comes down to the team, because now the culture always comes from parent, right? It doesn't culture doesn't come from child to the parent, it comes from parent. So the leader is of certain behavior, and that somehow it comes to the team, and good chunk of people in the team also gets that, right? So no exposure beyond the same environment for the team, driving team without having any hold. The team also gets into that, without any much hold they do it. And the leader drives without much context, right? And team also has that similar context, right? Leader behavior is, I know that this is how I did it in the past, so let us do it. What happens? Team also says, okay, let us follow it, right? Or they somehow digest and live with it, right? This is a big problem, right? This is one type of a leader, right? Let's look at another one, Mr. Perfect, the man who cannot fail, right? Or who doesn't he cannot accept any failure, right? So he always expects there are leaders who want to be perfect, right? And they're very different from the Mr. Clean. These people get into details, yeah, and they expect perfect results always, all the time, right? The failure is a bad word, right, in English for them. right? Failures cannot be accepted, right? Team cannot fail. Success is the only way. Keep finding mistakes in others, right? Many times I've seen what are the two things that really that going well, and then two things that do not go well. First thing comes up, yeah, I think we should improve in this and this and this, but but there are good things that are visible, but people don't see it, right? There's always reason to appreciate and motivate in a what do you say, we live in a world which is not perfect. It is imperfect world, right? So but that that perfectionist gets into this problem, right? And because they want to be perfect and they want to be very very detailed, they don't trust the team, right? And they have opinion on everything because they think the team is not cannot do that. Yeah, the team's behavior here is clearly like the fear of failure, because leader wants to be perfect, leader cannot allow you to fail, so team doesn't want to fail, right? I have seen the teams openly saying in the discussions, one-on-one discussions, saying that JP, I don't think I can take this risk, because at the end of the year you're not going to be in my appraisal, it's going to be my manager, and my manager wants this is I'm going to do this for them, right? And they just do what, even if they understand that this is not the right thing to do, and the team gets into that behavior of, like, fear of failure, right? Failure is a wow thing, failure is a great thing, as long as we learn from failures and correct. But the moment failure is looked at as a bad thing, the fear of failure comes, and that one thing is enough to create a lot of cultural anti patterns, right? Multiple you know cultural anti patterns come in because of this. Like, for example, ownership culture goes away, waiting for orders, transparency goes away. That's another, right? Even if they show something but they do something else, right? The leader probably sometimes, unless the leader gets into details, leader don't know whether it is, the leaders won't know whether it is really the right thing the team is doing, or or the way the leader wants, right? Transparency is definitely a question, right? No risk taking. Predictability is a goal. Team, I have seen a team that was, I'll give you example, right? I won't call out the exact organization name. I've seen a team which was 100% predictable for 6 months, and for one of the PA plannings, I went to that team and wanted to watch closely for maybe, like, after the PA planning, I watched this team very closely for 2 sprints, and I realized that this team plans for not more than 4.5 hours, right? The whole capacity, because mm, and the leader is also okay, because leader says that whatever you commit, you cannot skip, you have to meet it, right? You have to deliver that. So, right, so what you can deliver, only you should commit. It is nothing wrong, predictability is important, but predictability is a good metric to start with, but it cannot be only metric to live, right? So so teams are predictable, and obviously, like, we'll be predictable if you plan for like 3 hours or 4 hours in a day of like 8 hours of working hours, right? So there is no risk taking, right? The ownership culture is missing. This is one type of a leadership, yeah. And every type of a leadership, you see, a team's behavior directly gets affected, which means one leader can affect 10, 20, 50, 100 people, depending on the what level that person is, right? And directly culture gets impacted down, right? Let's look at the next set of leader, right? Super detailed leader, Mr. Detailed. He's a this leaders are super detailed, they are super tactical, right? They get into every detail, right? They want to exactly see, they will not miss out the daily scrums, they will not miss out, they want to know everything happening in a sprint planning, all the way till sprint review retrospective and all those things. And I have seen leaders being called for a retrospective, because I want to know what are you guys discussing, right? And there's too much of a poking the nose, right? And focus on a lot of immediate results, right? This is a Mr. Detailed gets into the immediate results I want, right? And in a hurry, right? And too much of a detail. What happens is, the teams that work with this kind of a leaders that I've seen is, in storming mode most of the times, right? When I say storming mode, if you know about, the Tuckman model, it says forming, storming, norming, performing, right? The teams always go through, when you form a new team, when you form a new way of working, the team will go through storming, right? You cannot avoid. It is expected, right? When we were kids, we never walked on day one, right? When we started walking, the kids fall multiple times, right? Even crawling. even turning back, right? And from upside, right? So when they turn back also, they struggle, and then when they turn back, they start enjoying. When they start walking, the kids start walking, they enjoy. That storming will happen, right? Learning cycling, learning swimming, anything you take, there is a failure, right? There is a But when the leader gets into detail and very tactical and immediate results, teams get into really storming, right? They don't understand, um and because they're operated, right? Every step is operated, centralized to decisions, right? And they don't own decisions. The team doesn't own decisions or results. It is they're more executors, right? uh, the success is big celebrated, whether it's a success or not, it is big celebrated by the leader, but the team doesn't really won't feel it because it is not their decision of taking some steps, right? And you see zero creativity, zero innovation happens, right? Innovation, uh, I've seen organizations where innovation is not part of appraisal. Innovation is not, but it is a big thing in the organization. They talk about, we have to have innovation as a culture, right? We want everybody to innovate, but if you see the way employees are measured, innovation is not even there in the measurement, right? The innovation is not even spoken, but leaders want innovation because somebody else wants. Some other leaders, top leaders, want innovation. Yeah, so that gets completely killed, right? Other behavior that I have seen with this Mr. Detailed is there are some good boys within the team, right? I call them good boys, right? Make use of this leadership, right? And they also get into the very detailed work, and the leader likes this kind of a team member, and then this team member gets aligned with that leader. The people who are creative, they are innovative, the people who want to try something new get sidelined, right? And the leader may not be wrong, right? Here, um, the Mr. Detailed, I have seen some good leaders that in the organization who are actually personally good people, right? They are not bad, but they just they have succeeded in their career because of being detailed, and they just follow that, right? And that doesn't help after a certain level of seniority, right? So this is where the problem is. So, right, the innovators, creators don't get a space here. Yeah, Mr. Process, right? This is another set of leaders. Again, they've seen good leaders here in this space where they are strong process believers. When I say process believers, they try to find a process answer for every problem. There is a problem at a structure layer. There is a problem of a culture. Right? Culture is not being injected right. Culture is not created. Right culture is not created. Or a lot of wrong culture. But they figure out things. Okay, can we track this in a Scrum board? Right? Hey, can we put this? Why don't we bring this in a daily stand-up? Daily stand-up is not going to solve, right? There's certain things you have to build it in a very different way. You may have to restructure the teams, right? You may have to identify the problem at a different level and then fix it, not at the process. So when they get stuck at process and not thinking about structural or cultural changes, the results get becomes only like we just do some changes, like I have seen scrum boards changing very very often, right? Program boards changing very often, like or something gets added, a lot of metrics get collected, a lot of data collection, but without any focus, right? Without end result, right? We want to transform as a process transformation. So these leaders drive transformation as a process transformation, right? Agile transformation becomes only process transformation, right? So so then what happens to the team level behavior? Teams also believe in process in this kind of leaders, right? So I have seen scrum masters and product owners and get working with these kind of leaders gets into process, right? They have a lot of metrics collected, a lot of data collected, and do what with that? Nothing much. 6 months later also the same data is collected, but then the team is they're also in kind of a storming mode in at a process level itself, right? A lot of process metrics meetings, right? um, the next level, team level, like these kind of leaders, when the leader is like assume that director or a VP who's predominantly process person, the next level managers, next level leaders like scrum masters, everybody becomes more ineffective because the focus is in a process. Yeah. So hey, can you hear me? Are you good? I'm seeing that voice is gone. Can somebody confirm that? Are you able to hear me? Just confirm. Okay, cool, great. Okay, so the next level is I know it all, right? This is another type of a leader. This is a I have seen some leaders like they are seasoned in one way of working, right? Especially this is another community I've seen. When they worked in the same company for long and one way of working, this is how, like I've seen leaders who joined the company who is about to retire in the same company, right? And uh, and they have been doing certain way for a long time. And the agile transformation, why the top leaders have identified that we need to transform towards more agility. But these leaders think that it's all working fine. Why do we need to change? And they think it's okay, let us maybe make some small changes, and I will guide you, right? I'll give you an example. Like, I was in one of the international assignments that I was in. Uh, um, on day three of the assignment, and I kind of left India and then moved to another country just to take experience international consulting assignment. The leader of this big group that I was supposed to work with, he said, "I will tell you what you need to do." Right? And I was like shocked. Like, I told this leader that can you just give me some space for a week? Let me go around, right? Let me figure out what is going on, and then I will come back and we'll discuss, right? And with a lot of initially resisted, but he said, okay, let's see what you come back with. Then I came up with a lot of observations, and I said, hey, this is what I'm observing, and this means we need a surgery here, right? So there's a lot of changes to be built, and it starts from you. And not even one point that this leader accepted, right? The strong opinionated saying that no, 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 I don't think you guys really talk theory, and it's been working fine for us. We need some minor, small changes, right? They really people that they don't want to change much, and because it is one is I know it all attitude. I know it. I know how to do things well here. And second thing is, it is just that their knowledge is so low, beyond their own boundary, right? And they have opinion for everything, filtered listening, right? And that's a challenge, right? And I've seen one of the recent past, I've seen one leader, this leader will challenge everything that you bring in, right? Just for the sake of challenging, right? I have no idea why these leaders do it, but they just challenge, saying that I don't think this will work, right? I tried telling few contradictory things. Day one I say something, and then day five I say completely against that. And both the discussions, the leader had completely opposite opinion, right? So that they can hold me as they can control me in the system, right? So there are leaders like that, right? They actually create more problems by asking questions, by brainstorming things, than solving it, right? And just because of the attitude problem, right? And this is a little dangerous. A process believer and the previous ones, right? Process or Mr. Detailed or Mr. Perfect, it is certain behaviors, but it is they are they're not, some of these are not really bad people, but it is just that the way they work is like that. But this is actually one of the attitude issues, right? Mm, their listening is low because they think they are better than others, right? The team's behavior, like they're also more in storming. um, the team won't own results, and the similar behavior like what we saw from the other leader, right? Good boys, innovation is killed, right? Multiple issues, yeah. Finally, right, the most dangerous, right, leadership anti-pattern that I have seen is Mr. Watermelon, right? These are the political leaders, right? Super political leaders, and they have their own personal interest in things, in doing whatever that need to be done in the organization, and they have multiple phases, right? And there are very less in number, probably. Or these phases don't come out so visible, depending on their leaders. If the top leader is so driving the transformation, so involved in agile transformation, their watermelon doesn't come out so visible. But if it is given to them, these leaders, what happens is they show two phases, right? Outside they're green, right? Inside they are blood red, right? For example, I've seen a leader who says, yeah, we want to transformation, right? We really want to make a lot of difference and we want to be more agile, but inside they just hate agility, right? And they don't believe in, like, teams making decisions, right? They don't believe in um, believing decentralized way of working, right? And they enjoy that power, right? And there are a few reasons, but there are maybe many other reasons why they are like that, right? And they are green outside, but they are blood red. How do we know? When you go closer, when you start talking details, that's where it comes visible, right? They come back saying that, hey, this is not going to, I don't think this will work, I don't think we should try this, right? But outside, yeah, we should be agile, but let's not do this. We should be agile, but let's not do that, right? And they don't let you move one step forward, right? It's very, very pathetic state to be in, like, working with such people, right? And very dangerous to be in also, right? And they are not aligned with transformation at all. They are forced because the top leaders, right, are driving it. Yeah, more the senior they are, the more dangerous it is for the transformation, right? The journey itself is taking much more longer, right? So if the watermelon leader is a manager, it impacts the team, it impacts maybe one or two teams, and it's a little more easier to get results, right? If the same watermelon leader is a director, the impact is wider. It's a VP, it's big, right? I've seen one leader like this who's at a kind of a CTO level, right? At a very senior level, and he could not, kind of not CTO, just one level just below the CTO. When CTO took a break for 6 months, right, a sabbatical break, this person became active. Transformation just got killed. 1.5 years of 25 coaches working together for a transformation got just killed in 3-4 months, just because suddenly a new face came up and they said, oh, I don't think we should spend money on this, and I don't think we have a bad problem, we have problems, we are already doing good, and things got collapsed, right? The more senior they are, the more dangerous they are, right? The more dangerous it is for the transformation journey, right? So the team's behavior, the organization behavior is again storming, very low motivation. And the last one, right, in this point, if you see, the people who are aligned with the transformation, I have seen a senior leader who is a watermelon, but the next level leader who is fully aligned with the transformation, who wants to go through this journey, they suffer a lot, right? They fume, right? They internally they suffer because they want to do it, but the 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 next level leader is not letting them do, right? It's a very painful thing. I've seen some real great leaders just below this watermelon leader, but they just could not get anything because there is a control from here, right? The watermelon leader controls. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So how do we deal with? How can these kind of leaders be dealt? Right. Let me take you through some some statements that some of the leaders have spoken about, right? So Mick has written a book called Project to Product Mindset, right? You move from project mindset to product mindset, and he says problem is not with organizations realizing that they need to transform. We don't, it's not that we don't know that we need to transform. Organizations know, but the problem is that organizations are actually using managerial frameworks and infrastructure models from past revolutions to manage their business. We want to be agile, but we want to do in this way, which is actually waterfall, right? And we want to take some infrastructure, we want to take frameworks, we want to from the past, like 20 years back, this is how I worked, and let me pick it, right? And this is one of the very big things. And who drives this? If you see, this is actually driven by the leaders, right? The managerial frameworks, or the infrastructure models coming from past, is because of the leaders, right? I've given a I've done a agile inception workshop for one of my clients for their freshers, right? They hired some 30-40 freshers, and they asked me, can you just quickly take them through what is agile, and so that they get a good understanding when they come down to when they start working with the teams, and they are able to align with the teams. So I was kind of comparing between waterfall and agile, After half an hour, there's one kid, right, raised a hand and said, sir, can you tell me what is waterfall, right? And I was really stunned. I said, what? You don't know waterfall? And then I asked the rest of the people, like, how many of you don't know waterfall? And 50, 60% of the people raised a hand. Now, where is waterfall coming from in your transformation? Or where are these bad practices coming from? It is coming from the past. And who are those people who are bringing the past? Are actually these leaders. Yeah. These are the leaders who bring the past and then they actually put, I am a leader, but when I was a developer, this is how I was. And I think I know that way. Let me put it there. And I may be detailed, I may be a process guy, I may be, but finally, some of in this one of these anti-patterns, I'll put my thoughts, right? Because I don't have a growth mindset. I have a fixed mindset, and I think I know it all, or I think that's the right thing to do, right? The same thing. There is a great book called Accelerate. Yeah, the John Cotter says, it's one of the best books that we probably should read. And this is what he says: world is changing at the rate at which basic systems, structures, and cultures built over the past century cannot keep up. It never happened in the past, ever in our history. It is only that the last 30 years that we are going through this big change. Yeah, the things are changing so fast, right? Our parents cannot understand what we're doing, right? It never happened in their generation that their parents could not understand what they are doing, but our parents are not able to understand what we are doing, and this will continue. We won't understand what our kids are going to do, right? Trust me, right? Things are changing so fast now. When things are changing so fast, if I put my thoughts which I knew like 20 years back and put it back here, will it work? No. Who puts it back? Again, leaders, right? So finally, leaders think that, hey, I have done this in the past and it worked for me, and it should work for all of you today. It's not going to work, right? So let me bring some perspective to this whole you know this discussion that we have been going through. Peter Drucker, right? He's one of the great leaders, and he says workers are knowledge workers if they know more about the work that they perform than their bosses, right? The entire software industry, the engineering is actually knowledge work, right? I'll tell you, I was in a campus interview sometime back when I was in Intel, right? And I interviewed one fresher, like who's the sixth, he's in the sixth semester, and I asked him, hey, why Intel security? Right? He said, I like security. What do you know about security? He took a book, this big book, right? And he showed me what does hacking mean, how many sites he could hack. And he said, this is the importance of security. People are not secured. And I know the importance of security. The leaders, the 3, 4 people that we were sitting together and interviewing this guy, we had no idea how to hack and no idea about hacking. But we were leaders because of different reasons, right? Because we have experience and things like that. Now, in terms of technology skills, who's better in these two, right? Me or the fresher who's sitting just opposite to me? It is obviously the fresher, right? Because the technical ability that person has, it's very hard that I can't even imagine that I can build that skill. No, I need to accept that. That's very important, right? So we are knowledge workers. Fundamental belief is in knowledge workers. My team knows better than me. If leader understands this one thing, leader will get transformed. Leader transforms, the teams will transform, transformation will happen, right? So this is very important to reiterate, right? The decentralization has to happen, right? There are very smart people, right, at the team level, right? And other example that there is a book called Drive. Right? It's another amazing book. It says about it talks about AMP, right? Autonomy, mastery, and purpose, right? Given autonomy to people, right? When they have the autonomy, they actually do far better than what they can do when you guide them, okay? And help them building a mastery, right? Today, now we are not talking about T skills, right? We were talking about I skills sometime back. I need to be very strong in one thing, the jack of all, master of none. A lot of unnecessarily wrongly used jargons, right? But we are moving to T skills. But today, in another 5 years, T skill will not help, right? T skill is not going to be the skill that the engineers should have. People are moving towards spy skill, they're moving to e skills, they're moving to com skills. When I say com skills, like it's a DevOps skills, or it's a if not DevOps skills, at least a full stack developer skills, right? I just had a meeting with the 40 engineers. I had a workshop today with one of my consulting assignments, and out of 40 people, 25 people are full stack developers. How, what kind of a journey that you will have if you have that kind of a team, right? That kind of a program in your transformation, right? It's going to be amazing. So mastery is important, right? And they get really good in whatever they do, right? Not just one thing, multiple things, and they're capable. Simple example I'll give you, right? Very it's just human psychology, that kids learn mother tongue very well, but kids can learn 6 languages at the age of 6. Before 6 they can learn 6 languages. It is proven. It is our mindset, right, our mind block, that says that okay, let them learn one language very well, right? Kids can speak 6 languages if they are allowed to learn, right? Right, we restrict them. If they learn only one language, who's the creator of this problem? It is the parents. The same way in the organization, it is the leaders, right? So allow them and create a purpose, right? It's not about money, it's not about earning, right? And today's world is not about the kids are the freshers are risk takers. How many startup companies come up, right? Now show a purpose, right? Why we want to move to transform, agile? Why do you want to be releasing our product to customers much more faster, right? And they will take you to wherever you want, right? I strongly believe that you know transforming a team is not a big deal. In my experience is I can transform 100 people or in a short time when they are the team members, right? Transforming 2 leaders is much more painful, right? So leaders need to believe that we have to drive the teams in this way, right? And on the right side I put one more video. It's very interesting, a case study that a captain of a nuclear submarine talks about how in navy they have implemented decentralized decision and how it helped them, right? Every decision can be taken by somebody else, not by the captain, except for one decision: launching a weapon. Everything else is decentralized. If a navy army can do that, definitely we can do it in our agile transformation in our teams, right? Leaders need to believe, and this is something that constant education need to happen to the leaders. Like why don't you try decentralizing and try what happens and see, take a step forward and see if you are falling or you're climbing up, right? And that's what we should do. So okay, I'm just looking at comments. Like, manager in a mix of more than one flavor. Yeah, I agree. I think it is. I agree, Dheeraj. Like, it is not just leaders are always process or always Mr. Detail or always. There is a mixture of all these things, um, and even to 20% of Mr. Process and 20% of Mr. Detail and 20% of Mr. Know It All. It creates more problem, right? It creates finally the damages for the team, right? And sometimes you are process, sometimes you are detail, sometimes you are know it all. The team gets more confused, right? It's a good point that leaders are not always one type. They have their own flavors, right? So that's why I said I created some personas, right? So that they're based on their behaviors. Yeah. Okay, so now last 5 minutes, I'm going to just quickly take you through what can we do, right? Role of leaders in the transformation has to be defined. First thing is, when you start the transformation, we should not start the transformation with directly with the teams, and it should start from the leaders. Like, what's your role in transformation, right? And are you, even if it's a manager role, right? I'll say that, are you a manager? Yes. What kind of a manager you are? Are you a people manager, project manager, engineering manager? What kind of a manager? What's your role in transformation? What is your ownership here, right? Define it very well. We as a as a as a transformation agent should drive that, saying that, hey, do you know your role very well? Can we sit together and define it, right? Structure at leadership level need to be first built before building a cross-functional team structure, before building a scrum master team structure, before building a product owner structure. Leader structure is very important. Yeah. Wherever I've seen it's not built, it became like chaos. Yeah. And decentralize as much as possible. Constantly guide the leaders to say that, hey, can you decentralize this? What happens if you don't really monitor on a daily basis and see what happens, right? Maybe your team will surprise you, and educate the teams also that, guys, you are self-organized, right? If the leader will not come to you for the next 1 week, let us see what you do, and then show the leader that team can move towards self-organize because they're knowledge workers, right? Fundamentally, they're knowledge workers and they will do it, right? Next one is educate leaders on agility. Like, I saw some of your comments like leaders don't know what is agile, and they say that yes, we want to move to agile, right? Leaders don't know. I have seen a bigger impact. Like leaders don't understand scaling agility, and that's even bigger problem. And they want to move to scaling agile, right? It's a bigger challenge. So constant education for the leaders need to happen. Yeah, working agreements need to happen with leaders. Make leadership working agreements, right? When I say leadership working agreements, talk to the leader, say that, okay, what is your role in a transformation? What is my role in a transformation? What do you expect out of me? What do I expect out of you? And then, let us put this together and talk, right? And wherever I have done in the past, okay, let me just make a few things clear. It is not that I'm sharing all the wow experience that when I did this, everything went great, right? I have failed miserably. I'm even today I'm failing in certain areas, right? Because leaders are not changing. But wherever I tried certain, principles, certain way of, doing a transformation, I've seen a success, right? Working agreement was one thing that really worked, right? Hey, this is how we should do it. Are you okay with that, right? And for example, in a safe transformation, there will be IP iteration. Are you okay with that? Right? Innovation, 2 weeks of iteration, innovation need to happen. Are you okay with that? If you're not okay with that, let's talk today, not in the mid of a PI. Right? If it's a transformation, if it's agile transformation, there will be a dip in performance or productivity in the beginning, but it will give you back results. My skin is in the game. You will get big results, but you have to wait for some time, and you have to listen to, you have to take my, comments, and you have to work on it, right? And only then it will work, right? Make a working agreement with leaders, right? That's very powerful, right? Focus on unlearning of the leaders, than they learning it, right? Because a lot of unlearning comes on the way, right? The past learning comes on the way in your new learning. So unless they realize that, hey, this is something that I have to give up, and then this is something that I need to pick, it's not going to happen, right? You have to show them that, hey, you have to forget these things, right? This is not the way to go. You have to start forgetting, right? So this is a neuro linguistic, right? It's a neuro problem. It's a brain issue, right? Changing somebody in their thinking is not easy, right? So now you have to really work on it, right? Other thing that I've seen is leaders change fast when there are 360-degree, right? Anonymous feedbacks. So a lot of feedbacks I have seen in at least one organization, when they honestly did this, lot of straight feedback that came to the leaders, right? And um, I can even name the company. It was Intel when I was working. 360-degree feedback was an eye opener for leaders, saying, "Oh, I never thought people have opinion about me like this," right? And and align your transformation along with the 360. How is your leader helping in your transformation, right? Build some questions around that, and then take the feedback and then share it with the leaders, and then come up with a clear 30, 60, 90, 180 days plan to come out of this, right? It works. Leaders own transformation and results, right? Nobody else, right? Teams are responsible in going through this journey, but in my view, if the kid is not right in the parents' vicinity, in parents' presence, parents are responsible for it, right? And leaders are definitely should own the transformation, right? So I've seen one of the leaders recently, like, challenging me, like, hey, this is not going well. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And every step I take, 2 steps, the leader pulled me back 4 steps, right? Then I asked the leader, hey, who owns the transformation here, right? The leader said, you, right? Then I realized the problem is there. Leader assumes that I am here to transform the team and I own the results, right? Or I own the transformation. I'm a consultant. So then I asked this question: Who who was there with the team last year? The leader said, yeah, it was me, right? I said, who will be there with the team next year? He said, it was me. Then I asked him, then who should own the transformation? Who should be interested in the results? Is it me or is it you? Because it looks like I'm interested, but you're not interested because you're pulling me back, right? You better own the transformation, right? And it's a very crucial conversation, but I realize that the leaders don't understand that they own the transformation. So it's very important that make it clear that leaders own the transformation, right? And the results. It should always be top driven, right? With clear goals. Set a clear transformational goal, right? What is the goal of this transformation, right? Um, if you're moving to agile, if you're moving to safe, if you're moving to certain way of new way of working, why you're moving, what is the top 3 or 5 challenges that you have that you want to fix it, right? And look at, is it a process related, or is it just something at a metric level, or is it a strategic, right? Result should be that, hey, our business is going this direction. In 3 years from now, we want to be like 10 times faster, right? And then, yeah, strategic, right? And it should be cultural. The goal should be top driven with clear cultural goals, strategic goals, and it's clearly measurable, right? Smart goals, right? Define it very clearly, and then start reviewing on a monthly basis, right? The moment we don't have a goals, I've seen many times, like when the goal is not set right, or goal is like not clear, the transformation journey suffers. Yeah, focus on at least these 2 types of leaders. If you're a top leader listening to this, right, you should focus on who are your next level leaders who have this attitude, I know it all attitude, and watermelon leaders, right? They both are dangerous. Other leaders can still be changed, like, because their intentions are not wrong, but these 2 leaders actually intentions are, there is some personal intention of the transformation, right? That's very, very important. The last statement that I will make is, let me move out this, right? Clean up the leaders who are unfit to drive the transformation journey. This is a very bold step that the top leaders should take. The leaders are not good, leaders are not driving transformation the right. The top level leaders should be willing to take a decision of cleaning up such leaders. I'm not saying that throw them out of the job, right? And that may be the last step, but move them out of the way, like, who are going to be, they are the barriers, right? They are going to stop the journey. So make it very clear that they don't have any roles here, and make them, move them elsewhere, right? And bring the right leaders, right? The moment right leaders come in, transformation goes so smooth, right? So uh, it will shake a little bit in the beginning, right? Suddenly moving a leader who is in the team for last 5 years, 8 years, suddenly you're moving the leader, it will shake, right? It will create some kind of a noise, but the noise is for good, because in the long run, in the long term, you'll actually get good results, because the new energy comes in, the new leader comes in, the new way of looking at life comes in, things will change faster. Yeah, so temporary pain you have to take, but in a long run, you will actually see a much better results. Yeah, so these are all some of my observations, some of my steps that I've taken in the transformation journey working with leaders. Yeah, so let me put this question, right? Do you have any questions? Right, okay, we went like 4 minutes ahead, beyond. Any other questions that you have, right? About leadership, and any other questions, or any other sharing, experience sharing that you have done, which is different. If you have time, right, we can continue. I'm okay to continue for next 10 minutes, if you're okay, right? So let me wait for some questions. How about the leader decision? How the leader decision to move, who are best fit? I would say, look at the leaders who are transformational leaders, right? Who are willing to, who have growth mindset, right? Who are okay to take a chance. Leaders who don't have some of these behaviors that we spoke, right? The Mr. series, right? We had a bunch of leadership styles we saw. Look at, do you have any leader who's away from this, right? I have recommended to my top leadership multiple times that take out the leader, bring somebody who's even junior, it's okay, but the person who's open to try things, open to fail and learn, open to bring transparency, open to own the transformation, open to culturally open, right? Yeah, so yeah, thanks. I think many of you are like looks like you're acknowledging you have seen similar ones. Yeah, so yeah, so I'm kind of seeing how to change mindset of leaders. It's hard. There's a book called um, I forgot. Yeah, Habit. Yeah, there's a book called Habit. Yeah, this says that this book says changing habit, it takes a long time, especially when you have this the bad habit for a long time, like I sleep till 8 o'clock every day, let's take a case, right? And one day I decide that from tomorrow I will wake up at 5 o'clock. Yeah, Is it going to happen immediately? It's not going to happen. It depends on how long I have been practicing this bad habit of sleeping till 8, right? So if the leaders are seasoned in a wrong direction, it's going to take a very long time, right? Now the question is the leader willing to change and trying some steps? It's great, right? Then you try. If the leader is not even realizing, then it's a pain. If you won't even be able to change it, right? So maybe hard message, but I think it's important that identify whether how willing is the leader through working agreement, right? Set the leaders set a good working agreement with the leader, like, are you okay with that? 3 months from now, 6 months from now, where do you want to be, right? Yeah, sure. I think, yeah, some of you are asking for a deck. Yes, Madhu, definitely we'll get a deck. I think this recording will be available in our site, and we'll definitely share. And my team will share the deck with all of you. Right? There's nothing secret here. Yeah. So I'm definitely happy to share this. Yeah. Anything else that you have seen, or anything else that you want to bring? So, it's a different perspective to this. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, Krishna. Continuous learning is continuous improvement, personal improvement, not just improvement as a process. Continuously, am I continuously improving? Am I different personality today compared to yesterday? Like, am I changing on a daily basis, on a weekly basis? Am I measuring that? Right. So, yeah, it's very important, right? I'll give you one simple one of my workshops recently. This one. This was in Chennai, right? When I was doing a safe workshop, I met a leader who came for a workshop, who attended my session, and such a great personality that, and I'll never forget this person in my life. He's CEO of the company, right? And he has come personally to attend this safe workshop to understand, can we implement safe. And the 2 days of workshop, I've seen him taking notes after notes after notes, and he was going like, wow, this is all I want to change. There's a lot of good things that you are sharing. I want to really take it forward and implement it, right? And then when I was asking this leader, like, yeah, that's right. That's right, Bali. Yeah. So his name is Bala. So I was asking him, like, what kind of organization you have, and I understood that 6 years of is this company existence, not even one person left the job. Yeah. And not even one person left the job, and the whole company is just staying back together, and then they're doing amazing job. And I asked him, do you pay so much that people can't leave the job, right? Maybe 2 3 times more than any other company. And he said their salaries are not that competitive, that they have option to leave, and people can get easily 2 times 3 times more salary if they really want choose to leave, but they don't leave. Why? It's such a wonderful leadership style that he brings in the transparency, it brings in that growth mindset, it brings in that um, the culture of you approach, approachable, right? Personal connection, right? This is all, this is not about agile, this is about the nature of the leader, right? He's such a wonderful leader, such a simple man. You will not really see that a person can be can have this. Have you heard a company in software which had a zero attrition? I've not heard, right? First time I've heard small companies, like a friend of mine ran a company of like 30 40 people, and then there was a zero attrition for 4 5 years, and I used to wonder, wow, how is it possible? But this company with 200 300 employees or more than that, right? And the leader stood by people, right? That's the kind of a leader that, yeah. So he's a CEO of the company called Blackboard in Chennai, right? Amazing, right? Good things can be shared, right? So I make it, if if the leader sees, if Bala sees this, right? I'm sure he will not be upset, right? And I'm sharing this here. He's an amazing leader, right? And the whole organization stands behind this leader, right? And identify such leaders, right? Maybe some pockets of such leaders are available in pockets of behaviors, right? We should focus on that, right? So, okay. So the next question is, how do you fix execution issues of agile transformation due to leaders like watermelon? It's very difficult, watermelon leaders. So one thing, watermelon leaders, right? They have two phases, right? That's a dangerous thing, right? They have one side green phase and other side red phase, right? Bring a lot of transparency, metrics, brings transformation metrics, not about your scrum metrics and sprint level metrics. I'm saying transformation metrics. What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? Tell me the problems what you have, right? What do you want me to fix, right? How do we fix this problem, right? And then bring that transparency. I think you have to make them naked, and then that's the only way. Like, bring transparency to the core can actually shake them, and that will bring, yeah, either they'll align, or at least in my consulting, I've decided to leave once or twice when such leaders I met and they don't want to change. I said, I don't want to waste my time. At least let me move on, right? So it rarely happened, but I think that I heard it in a hard way once, but after that, that actually helps, right? When the leaders are too political, it's a pain, right? Bringing super transparency will help, right? Okay, my team has been doing Agile for last 4 years and seems like saturated with maturity level. My director is only worried about delivery. Yeah, it's a very common problem, right? This another. I have another. I presented a conference paper called human side of agility. Right. What are the reasons for agile? Even today, when I asked, there are a lot of reasons about only product and delivery and increasing the pace. And none of us have thought about. I want my team to be happy. Right. The first value of agile is individuals and interaction, and not process and over process and tools. Right. First value is not working software. First value is not about customer collaboration, right? First value is not about responding to change. The first value is individuals and interactions. Who are those who interact, and who are those individuals? They're teams, they're people, right? So is transformation focusing on people, right? Finally, they are the backbones, right? The example that I gave, right? This leader, he took care of his people so well, not by paying, but taking care of, listening to them, understanding their problem, and not allowing political issues to come up at the next level. And that became a super organization, right? People, right? And they will do anything for you. People will die, right? Indians, we fought for the freedom. How many people died, right? They gave their life for the country, right? They gave. It's possible, right? And it is just that the leaders need to align, right? Just focusing on delivery, you have to switch the gear at some point. Leaders have to switch the gear. Yeah, releases will happen much more faster when my people are taken care, right? Am I helping my team to be agile, right? Not that I use my product in agile, released in agile fashion. It's good to start with the process. It's good to start with the product focus, but in the long run, we should have a human side of agility. A simple your appraisal system, right? It should not be cricket team. Your team should not be cricket team. In my analogy, it should be a football team, right? What does it mean? A team should be measured as a team, right? When they succeed together, and there is also a red card and a yellow card for individuals when they don't perform, and when they hamper overall team performance, right? There are certain bad people who hamper overall team performance. There should be a red card. There should be a yellow card, right? Being very nice leader is not what I'm saying. You should also be able to take some strong decisions, but overall bring success to the team and let the team celebrate, right? When the football game they win, it is not about this one person who scored the goal, but it's a team which takes the World Cup, right? The winner series. It's not about just one individual, right? So that's why I said, one Tendulkar can play and win the Indian cricket, right? Indian matches, but one couple they played in 1983 World Cup and we won the World Cup for us. Um, that is a human side, right? Do I need individual heroes, or do I want to build a team that can work together? 10 people is much more powerful than any individual in the world, right? Any best person in the world, right? So focus on the team, right? So human side of agility is very, very important, right? I can also share that the paper, or the it is in the YouTube, that the conference paper. I can give a link about that human side of agility. Yeah. Anything else? I think great. You have been very patiently listening to me for 1 hour 15 minutes. So thank you so much. Any other questions? Any other points? Right, I'm more than happy to continue, but otherwise we can wind up. Sure, Madhu. Yep. Yep. So my email address is available there down, right? If you have any personal thing to connect and then share and discuss, please reach out to me, and I'm more than happy we can speak over the phone. I may be busy sometimes. I know pick the call, but otherwise, if you want to discuss one on one, if it can be of a little bit help for you, I'm more than happy. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.